everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff and Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are all having a great holiday season. I sure am. And hopefully, whether you're watching this, I don't know, on Christmas Day or a couple days later, hopefully this brings you a little bit of holiday cheer. It's been quite the year. And we've got some more videos coming up later on this week talking about, all the things we did this year, talking about some of the things that I want to do moving forward. But I just want to say, truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for being a big part of my life and for being, coming along on this adventure with this YouTube channel. So today's video is my best or my favorite knives that I reviewed in 2025. This year is going to be a little bit different than years in the past. Number one, normally I wait to make this video until I go back home, back up north for the holidays, and I go and I film it out in the snow and the mountains, and I wear Christmassy stuff. This year, life's just moving too fast. I'm only going home to visit for Christmas for 3 days, and I don't want to waste any of that time, recording videos. I want to spend time with my family. Normally I have like a week or so, but life just gets crazy, and so I'm just going to film this right here today, and it's hopefully going to be pretty fun. We're doing another just sitting out in the desert. I really liked doing this, when I did my top 15 favorite fixed blade designs video. I thought it was kind of fun. I, sit my ass down on the ground and just talk to you guys like we're having a conversation just between buddies. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, this year was quite the interesting year for the channel and quite an interesting year for the knives I reviewed. Yes, I have my backpack full of knives that we're going to talk about. I got to handle some really, really interesting things. But as I was going through my uploads this year, going through all the reviews that I released, trying to put together the list for this video, I realized that there were a lot of mediocre knives that I reviewed, and then a few truly amazing knives scattered in between. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting video. I don't have as many categories for this video as I have had in years past. Like in years past, I used to give out a lot of different awards. We've got a much smaller group of awards to give out this year, but I think maybe that's good because you guys are going to be getting a lot of quality over quantity type of content, I think. Now, couple of rules. Rule number one, the knives that are up for consideration had to have been reviewed. They have to have been given full-length Gideon Stuff reviews on the channel. Okay, that's rule number one. They have to have a full review that came out between Christmas of 2024 and Christmas of 2025. Now, there is one exception to that rule. I'll explain it when we get there, but this is my video. I can change the rules if I want to. Deal with it. Yeah, I guess that's kind of I was going to say there's two rules, but I kind of just rolled them into one. Rule number one is going to be I have to have a full-length video, a full-length review on a knife in order for it to be considered. And rule number two is going to be that video had to have come out between Christmas 2024 and Christmas 2025. Okay, there we go. There's the parameters. Now, seeing as how those are the parameters, there's going to be a couple of knives that you guys have seen on the channel a lot that you might be expecting to make an appearance in this video, but they're not going to because their reviews don't come out until 2026. A big example of this is the Hinderer Jurassic. Yes, I received this knife this year. I love this knife. I've been carrying it a lot. You guys have seen this pop up in a lot of videos, but I have not given it a full review yet. So, unfortunately, it is not in the running for any awards this year, which really, really does suck. Another knife that I want to give a shout out to, an honorable mention to, a knife that definitely would have gotten a place on this list had I, had it for longer and got a full review of it, is the White River Ursus Cub. Absolutely love this knife. Again, you guys will have seen this in a lot of videos. I've been carrying this nonstop since I got it about a month ago. And it's just an incredible knife. I absolutely love this knife. But because I do not have a full review of it out, it cannot be included. It cannot be in the running for an award this year. So that is kind of a shame. There's probably going to be a lot of other knives you guys are like, what? Why? Where's this one? Well, either I just didn't get an award or there's not a full review out yet. You know, you might have seen an unboxing, you might have seen a short, you might have seen a 3 days in video with it or whatever. But unless I gave it a full review, it's not going to be making an appearance, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in with our awards. And I've got a couple of awards that I think we're going to start with. I think we're going to start with the kind of just for shits and giggles awards. So, most fun knife of the year. This is kind of a weird category, but to me, the knife that wins in this category has to be a knife that brought me an immense amount of joy. And this can be a knife that gives me joy because it's like super fidgety and it's like literally just fun to sit and play with. It can be a knife that has like a fun story attached to it. It can be a knife that I just, for whatever reason, associate with fun. And there are 3 knives that were in the running for this particular award. Knife number 1, the Aurora Truffles. This is an absolutely incredible knife. I love this knife. This is one of my most carried knives of the year. You guys will be seeing a video about my most carried gear of the year coming up very, very soon. Absolutely freaking love this knife. Love this Tonto blade. This is probably my favorite Tonto in my entire collection. Hollow grind, flat grind, S35VN, my favorite steel. Titanium with the roundhouse lock. Great action. This knife is so much fun to play with. It has all of the deployment methods. I really, really like this knife a whole bunch. And this one is very fun for me. It's also fun for me because I like Aurora Knife and Tool as a company. They just do all kinds of weird and wacky things. I love the attitude. I love the way they interact with the community. I was sent this knife by them for review. They actually sent me 2 of them. Absolutely freaking love this knife. And it is definitely a very, very fun knife. I think about this knife and I think about fun. This knife kind of made me love the knife community all over again because it's just, you know, kind of designed by a community member for the community. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's doing things that are different. You know, you've got that fidget factor. Great, great knife. Another knife that was in the running for funnest knife of the year was the Exodus Knife and Tool Jackalope for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the name Jackalope is really, really awesome. I think that's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of that. But number 2, just look at the wacky colors on this knife, right? I love these tie-dye knife scales. I love the red Cerakote on the blade. I love the red Kydex. To me, this knife is just, it just screams fun. Every time I put this knife on my belt for a hike or an adventure or whatever, I just felt like I was already going to have a good time. It's a fun knife. You know, this is from White River. I just love it. I just love it. It's so much fun. It's goofy. It's a knife that works hard but doesn't take itself all that seriously. I connect with that on a very, very personal level. So, to me, that knife is absolutely very, very fun. And the other knife that is a contender is the CJRB Fugly. Now, this is a knife where I'm kind of breaking the rules a little bit because technically, this review is coming out after Christmas, but it's coming out tomorrow. The day after this video posts, you'll be seeing the review for this knife. It's already filmed, edited, and uploaded. And the main reason why I'm including this knife in the video is because that video already went live to my channel members before Christmas. So it kind of feels like I can kind of sneak this knife in there. But this knife has a lot going for it. Number 1, yeah, it does have the fidgety fun. You got thumb studs. You've got a really, really good front flipper. I'm not a huge front flipper person. this is a really, really good front flipper. I really, really like the just goofy lines of this knife. It's really, it doesn't look like anything else out there. It's got these big slashes in the blade. Why? Moving on. It's got kind of a sway back look. It's a really weird, goofy knife. I love, it says "Have a nice day." That's a great maker mark from Mr. Diaz, who designed this. This knife is just so weird and wacky and wonderful that it had to be in the running for this award. It absolutely had to be. And the name Fugly. I love things that are weird and wacky, but still functional. And this knife absolutely is functional. This is a good EDC knife. So there's our three contenders. The Truffles, the Jackalope, and the Fugly. Which one is taking home the award? The Fugly is. The Fugly is. And this was a hard choice, but I gave it to the Fugly because I actually had some of the most fun that I had all year with this knife in my pocket. I bought this knife at Blade Show West, so that in and of itself is already a big kind of event, and that already puts a lot of, special feelings on this knife. And then after Blade Show, I took this knife with me up through Idaho and Wyoming to the Tetons, to Yellowstone. This was in my pocket as we came down through the rest of Wyoming, Thermopolis, dropped down to Colorado. I had a lot of adventures with this knife in my pocket. I had some of the best times I've had this year, some of my favorite memories from this past year, I lived through while this knife was in my pocket. And so not only is the knife itself a very, very fun, wacky design, but I just had a lot of fun while I was carrying it. And to me, whenever I see this knife, it just puts a smile on my face because of everything it represents to me, both as a knife and as a piece of my personal history. So CJRB Fugly wins funnest knife of the year. That is probably the most subjective award. Obviously, all of these are going to be pretty darn subjective. This is a list video. This is my opinion on stuff that I reviewed. Ow! What am I sitting on? Ouch! Look at those thorns. But that's probably the most subjective award category. I'm going to try to keep everything else, more reasonable than me have fun when I look at that knife. I has good memories. We'll try to keep everything else a little more easy to explain, I guess. All right, so our next award is going to be Cheap Knife of the Year. Now, this is not necessarily Budget Knife of the Year. This is Cheap Knife of the Year. And for me on this channel, cheap knives are knives that are $30 or less. And there were a few knives that were in the running for this award. There were a few knives that I thought of. There was one knife in particular that I really wish I got a review done for because it definitely would have been a runner-up. But really, I narrowed it down to two knives. Knife number one is the Ozark Trail Elevation. 12C27 G10 button lock. This is a really, really cool knife, and this represents a shift in Ozark Trail's mindset. There's a lot wrong with what I just said there. Number one, I was presuming to read another entity's mind. I was presuming to tell you what is on another entity's brain, which I typically try to avoid doing. And number two, that entity whose mind I was trying to read is a corporation. It's a company. It's not even really a person. So anyways, this represented a shift in Ozark Trail's product line, I guess. And this shows Ozark Trail really trying to appeal more to knife enthusiasts like you and me. There's a lot about this knife that I love. I like the G10 scales. I like the orange backspacer. I love this clip point blade. The 12C27 is a good choice. Hollow grind, nice action, reversible clip. These are about $25. So just under that $30 price tag. And I do prefer this knife over the veiwer, which is the aluminum scaled crossbar lock. That knife I didn't even really include in the running because I reprofiled the whole edge from a tonto to a drop point in order for me to get the most out of it. But yeah, I think this is probably Ozark Trail's best knife that they've ever made. I'm a big fan of that. And the other knife that's in the running, you guys might have forgotten that I reviewed this, but this was a very early review this year. And that is this knife from Craftsman. I can't remember the name of this knife. It's like the CM blah 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 blah. I think it's like a 30. There's a 30 in there. I don't know. Whatever. A string of numbers. This knife really impressed me because this is a $15 knife. You've got a two-way position wire pocket clip. You've got a really useful straight clip point blade. Fantastic ergonomics. This steel is 5CR, which I don't really care that much at this price point. And it has a top liner lock. I hate the term top liner lock, but whatever. It's a compression style lock. This is actually the only button actuated compression style lock that I've reviewed on the channel. I know they're like the big thing nowadays. Guys, I don't review as many knives as a lot of other channels. I don't get all the new shit. And honestly, I don't go and seek it out. I don't hunt it down. So eventually we'll take a look at some of the Kaisers and Vostieds and, you know, all the other things that are starting to use this kind of locking mechanism. But for now, this is the only one that I reviewed. And I was really impressed with this knife. For $15, this is a really solid knife. Again, great ergos. The blade cuts all right. You know, the sharpening out of the factory was not superb. But, you know, you sharpen it up yourself. It's got a good plunge grind. And this is a very usable knife. You've got kind of like a clamshell construction, which makes it feel very comfortable in the hand. Good ergonomic lines. You know, good action. This is running on bearings. This is just a really dope knife. And I enjoyed carrying this as much as I did. I haven't carried it in a while. I haven't carried it since the review, but this is a knife that I would carry again without much hesitation. I think it's a great design. And you know what, Craftsman, if you want to, like, you know, really impress us knife snobs and you decide to release like an upgraded version of this, I think a lot of people might be interested in that. But yeah, the Craftsman whatever is actually the one that's going to get the award for best cheap knife of the year. It is going to beat out the Ozark Trail because, you know, this is $10 more. And do I think you're getting $10 more of knife? Maybe. You are getting a much superior blade steel. You are getting maybe, you know, better build quality. But, I mean, for $15, if someone asked me for a cheap knife recommendation, I am probably going to send someone here rather than here. I would honestly also send people here over like some of Ozark Trail's, you know, $6, $7 pocket knives. This one's just really solid. I think it offers a lot of really neat features that you wouldn't really expect at this price point. So the Craftsman, whatever you want to call it, is our cheap knife of the year 2025. Really excellent knife. I like that one a whole lot. Okay, where do we want to go next? Do we want to go straight to... Yeah, you know what? We're going to. All right. Next up, let's talk... Actually. Oh boy. Okay. Gosh dang it. Oh, what do I want to talk about? There are a couple of things I really want to talk about. Okay, let's talk about my budget fixed blade of the year. So, these are budget fixed blade of the year is going to be a knife that's between $30 and $75. And for me, there was only one choice. Only one choice. And yeah, I bet you guys all know what it is already. The Off-Grid Knives Sidekick. Absolutely freaking love this knife. This is one of the most comfortable one of the most comfortable knives I've ever held in my hand, bar none. This pistol grip, I mean, gosh, it just feels like this knife was made for me. Every time I pick this knife up, it's like a kind of primeval satisfaction. I can't even explain it. It just feels so good. Yeah, that's a great knife. 14C28N on this kind of bellied out drop point blade, G10 scales. You do have a taco style Kydex sheath that works really well. This is an incredible knife, and these come in at like 55 bucks, 100% worth it. 100% worth it. Absolutely phenomenal knife. This is everything that you could want out of a knife of this size. This is the kind of knife that transitions seamlessly from like day-to-day EDC, kind of mundane tasks, to what I would call like EDC plus, bordering on like heavy duty tasks. This is a great knife to have around camp. This is a great knife to have on the trail. It's just really, really awesome. And yeah, this knife 100% wins budget fixed blade of the year. Okay. Next up, budget folding knife of the year. Again, this is something between $30 and $75. And this one, I'm sure you guys aren't going to be surprised by. It's the CJRB Droma. I love this knife. I carried the crap out of this knife, and I was just constantly blown away by how much I loved it. And I think one of the things that is so impressive to me about this knife is that it feels so much more expensive than it is. This is a $55 knife, but it feels so premium. So freaking premium. These ergos are to die for. I love the inlay work. You have like these aluminum scales with the G10 inlays that just look so gorgeous. You've got the very classic, just sexy drop point blade. This is designed by Dylan Mallory. It cuts really well. This is Air RPM 9. A great blade shape. This knife here, again, you can watch the full review. It came out not too long ago. Oh, fantastic action. I love this hydraulic type of action this knife has. I think this knife kind of flew under the radar. I really didn't see very many other channels talking about this knife, which just blows my mind because it is really freaking good. This might be one of the best knives CJRB has ever made, and I say that with zero exaggeration. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. And again, I think one of the things that impressed me about it the most is that I was taking this with me on the trail. I was EDCing this to work. Like, this knife just went everywhere with me, and it held up to a whole lot of use, and it looked really, really dang good while doing it. This is the rare kind of EDC knife, or the rare kind of budget knife that feels a lot more expensive than it is. It brings you a almost luxurious feeling, but it's coming in at a price point that doesn't make you afraid to use it and carry it and really see what it's like under the hood, really see what the performance is capable of. And this knife is capable of a lot. Absolutely love this knife. I cannot say enough about that knife. It is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Just such a good knife. Such a good freaking knife. Okay. Now, let's take a break from some of those awards. Let's go to a couple of maybe more like niche awards. And this first award that I'm going to talk about is Most Underrated Knife of the Year award. Now, this is an award for a knife that I don't hear a lot of other people talking about. I haven't seen any other reviews of it. The review that I released of this knife got like no viewers at all. No one watched that video, which I think is a shame because the knife that we're talking about is actually really, really freaking dope. And that is the Boker Elso. This is also a knife that I reviewed somewhat recently, but this knife blew me away. Now, I think one of the reasons why this one might be kind of an underdog sleeper is because the price of these knives for a long time, this is not a new knife by any means, the price is kind of ridiculous. This was like 120 bucks. D2, steel, bolster lock, G10. Yeah, it's not great. Doesn't make you feel good about buying this knife. Maybe the value's not all there. But I got this knife on sale for 30 bucks. You can find these on clearance all over the place now for up to like 60 bucks, I think, which I think is still a great price for this knife. I would highly recommend jumping on it. I was shocked by how much I like this knife. Boker is not a brand that I have very much experience with, and this knife has a lot of things going for it that I'm typically not a huge fan of. Number one, it's, little blade hole opening only. This blade hole looked horrible. I thought this is going to be a difficult knife to deploy. Nope. works great in every way. The action is phenomenal. Next thing, it has a really, kind of aggressive, swoopy clip point blade, which I love the aesthetics of. This knife does give off Bowie vibes. But as far as EDC use goes, that's not my go-to. I prefer straight clip points, drop points, things like that. But this blade worked really, really well. This D2 steel held up very, very well. This knife is super, super slicey. Great plunge grind. The action, again, is phenomenal. I really like the way this bolster lock feels. I just like the way this knife feels in general. Amazing ergos. Absolutely amazing ergos. It's kind of a slim knife. I like the backspacer. I mean, it feels very, very high quality, and this has definitely got me interested in taking a look at more Bokers. Now, it does have some issues, primarily this pocket clip, which freaking sucks. I hate this pocket clip. But I was blown away by this knife because I was not expecting to like it as much as I do. I thought this was going to be a knife where I'm like, oh yeah, hee hee ha ha, this is, kind of an addition to my Bowie knife collection. It'll be cool to have. But I ended up loving this knife. Absolutely loving this knife. And I think it's so underrated. I don't hear anyone talking about this knife. I really don't hear people talking about Boker all that often. But I think they did a great job. I was impressed with the build quality. I was impressed with the steel performance. I was impressed with the execution of this design. And if you can get this on sale right now, because these have been discontinued, I would really recommend giving it a shot. Again, you can go and watch my full review of this knife that came out a couple of months ago, back in October, I think. It's an incredible knife. It's an incredible knife. It's so underrated. I think this is just flying under everyone's radar. Just, do yourself a favor. Take a chance on it, right? Take a chance on it. If it backfires on you, you can come and yell at me in the comments, but this right here is my most underrated knife of the year. Absolutely freaking love that thing. Next award is Most Innovative Knife of the Year. And this is one that I sort of was like, oh, I really want to include a Most Innovative Knife of the Year award, but what would the competitors be? And I realized that there was really only one option for Most Innovative Knife of the Year, and so I gave the award to them. It's a truffle. It's a truffle. Now, again, this knife is not new for this year, but it's new to me. It's new to the channel. I was so impressed by this knife. I love everything about this knife. Again, we already talked about it a little bit, but this roundhouse lock is so much fun. This is one of my favorite locking mechanisms in my collection. I definitely need to get a hold of more Aurora Knife and Tool awards, knives. But I think this knife is really, really cool in a lot of ways. The lock itself, that right there gives it the Innovation of the Year award, right? I always like to see new locking mechanisms, and even though this isn't new for this year, this is new to me. I think that's a lot of fun. I love that it's a, pretty reliable, strong lock that you're able to get a lot of different deployment options with, and they cram them all onto this knife. You got the flipper, which works amazingly. You got the front flipper, which I'm not a huge front flipper guy, but this one works all right. You got the blade hole. I really, really like this knife. I love the blade shape. I love the handle. This knife, not only is it, fun and different, but it's also extremely functional, and that is something that I respect above all else. If you can make a knife that stands out from the crowd and does its own thing, but still functions as intended, as a good tool, baby, you've won me over. And this knife right here absolutely had to get this award because this is just such a fun knife. Just such an absolutely fun knife. Shut up, Gideon. All right, guys, I'm interrupting briefly to talk about your favorite knives of the year. That's right. A couple of weeks ago, I posted a post. A couple of weeks ago, I made a community post asking you guys what your favorite knives of this year were. Your favorite knives that you guys got. It didn't have to be new for the year or anything, just I wanted to hear what you guys thought. And so I want to go over some of the responses from that comment section. If you don't know, I post weird and wacky and random stuff in my community tab all the time. Check it out. I do polls and stuff over there, and every once in a while we talk about the topics that I post about. So if you want to be featured in a video and stuff, That's a great way to do it. So, without any further ado, let's talk about your guys' picks. All right, so we're actually going to start with a comment from Zach. And yes, this is the Zach who has sent so many knives to the channel. Some of the favorite knives some of the best knives I ever reviewed. I really can't speak today. Anyways, his favorite knife of the year was the Very Good Knife Company Lone Star. Now, Very Good Knife Company is a great brand. They were actually in the running for a couple of awards this year. Zach sent me a Very Good Knife Company Hornet. I was super impressed with that knife. Absolutely loved that knife. It was in the running for Fixed Blade of the Year, as well as like EDC Fixed Blade of the Year, which was a category I was going to do but decided not to do. I guess I could have done it and given it to that knife, but anyways, I forgot to bring it out with me today, so we're not going to see it. But amazing company, great build quality, USA made, very, very cool stuff. Now, what's interesting about the Lone Star is that is actually Zach's knife design. So he's kind of tooting his own horn a little bit here, but I think he absolutely deserves it. It's an amazing looking knife. I'm sure that Jacob over there at Very Good Knife Company executed it flawlessly. I really respect the work that he does over there, and I hope there's another run of these knives coming because I really want to get my hands on one. Absolutely solid pick. Next up, we got Phoenix down, and he has 3 folding knives that he got this year that he really likes. The CRKT Squid XM, the Kershaw Blur, and the Rosecraft Blades Obed Creek Trapper. And I have had a Squid XM. I had one of the, back in 2024, I got one of the Blade HQ exclusive ones. I have no idea where it went. I lost it. I actually did film review cutting with that knife, but that knife has disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to it or where it is, what I did with it, but that's kind of a shame. It was a great little knife. I might have to pick up another one because I was pretty impressed with it. Kershaw Blur, I did actually get a Kershaw Blur this year from Zach, and I've been enjoying it immensely. Great knife, it's a classic knife. I've handled a couple blurs throughout the years, and yeah, it's everything that everyone says it is. And then Rosecraft Blades, I have not reviewed any Rosecraft Blades, which is a shame because I really like a lot of their designs. I like their take on traditional knives, and I need to review more slip joints. I really love slip joints, but I don't review that many of them, to be completely honest. I did review quite a few this year, but more like classic ones. But yeah, those are 3 great picks from Mr. Phoenix Down. Next up, from Dan Stan EDC, it's a Spyderco PM3 in 15V. Holy smokes, that was a lot of rhyming. We're just out here fucking Dr. Seussing it. Awesome. Yeah, 15V is a steel that I really want to get my hands on. From what I hear, there's not going to be very many more knives made in 15V. It's been discontinued. A lot of stuff happened this year with steel production. It's, oh my goodness, that's a whole can of worms. But yeah, I really like the Spyderco PM2. I've held a couple of PM3s, but I think I do prefer the PM2, just for me personally. But yeah, 15V, oh my gosh. Yeah, I bet that knife right there is one sexy MFer. Next up, from Professor's Critters, who, by the way, I love the tarantula in your little, what's what I'm looking for? Icon? Your little YouTube, whatever. Anyways, awesome! And I see he comments on a lot of my adventure type stuff. His knife of the year was a Kershaw Trooper prototype, which I had to look up. It's a really dope boot knife. He says it's his new Safe Queen, and yeah, you know what? It's a prototype of an old Kershaw. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Right on. That is definitely a unique knife, so great pick. Next up, from Gunner 4373, his knife of the year was a Gunny Sidekick in Magna Cut steel. I got a Gunny Sidekick this year. Mine was in a 154 cm full convex. One of the most beautiful knives I own, one of the most beautiful knives I have ever seen. I freaking love that knife. And yeah, getting it in Magna Cut, I think, would probably be amazing. I'm sure White River does a great job, or Bark River does a great job with their heat treats. So I bet that is one hell of a knife. Very jealous. Next up, from Mike Fox, it's another Bark River and another Gunny design. It's the Bark River Gunny Hunter in Z-Wear steel. Once again, Oh my gosh, I bet that is an absolutely phenomenal knife. I looked up that knife. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous. The gunning designs go so freaking hard. Yeah, my guy, that right there, it's an awesome acquisition. It's freaking dope. And last, but certainly not least, is Mr. Sam Martinez, whose knife of the year was a ZT0004. Now, I must say that is a knife that does have me very, very intrigued. There's some things about that knife that really, really appeal to me. Some things that I'm not so sure about. I'm not a huge fan of leather sheaths, which is kind of odd, I guess, but I think that is a really, really dope knife. I need to get some ZTs to review on the channel. Now, interestingly enough, he was also talking about his Crewwear PM2, and I want to talk a little bit about like Crewwear. Z-Wear and Crewwear, from what I remember, are essentially the same steel, maybe a slight variation, but they're kind of the same thing. So it's interesting to me that this popped up twice in this comment section. Also, Bark River Gunny Designs popped up twice. So that's really cool, seeing, just a little bit of kind of what my audience's tastes are. I think that's really, really awesome. Yeah, Crewwear is a steel that I definitely need to experience because I've never tested it or used it, and I feel like it would be right up my alley for a lot of the knife uses that I encounter out in the wilderness. So yeah, there you guys go. There are your knife awards for 2025. Great stuff. You guys have impeccable taste. All right, moving on. I didn't know what award to give this knife because I had two different categories, and I realized that this knife fits both of those categories. And so I decided to just, I don't know, should I lump those categories into one, or should I just give this both of those awards? We'll just talk about them both at the same time. The knife in question is the TRM Bulldog, and this is getting two awards. Number one award, this is my American-made knife of the year. I absolutely love this knife, made in America, Magna Cut. This was actually my first time really getting to know Magna Cut. I spent a lot of time with this knife. This is my most carried pocket knife of this year. I spent a lot of time getting to know Magna Cut, testing it on this knife, and kind of getting my thoughts together on that steel. This is the titanium version. We got beautifully contoured titanium scales, carbon fiber backspacer, the river lock, aka a axis lock. I'm actually going to take this thumb stud off. I realize I don't like it on here that much, but yeah, super comfortable. TRM, I love TRM. They're such a good company. They've supported the channel a lot, and I really enjoy what they're doing, especially in the USA Made tier, and they're just lovely people over there. So definitely USA Made Knife of the Year right here. Now, this also gets my Premium Knife of the Year award, and for the reason that this knife just feels luxurious as all hell. I absolutely love these titanium scales. These are the most gorgeous titanium scales I have ever handled, I've ever owned. The milling on here is so fine. Like, you can hardly even tell that it does have milling, but it does. It's so fine. And these scales are contoured in a way that just makes them so comfortable. Everything about this knife just feels incredible. And this is the most, I don't know how do I want to put this. This is the most luxurious feeling knife I have. This is the most premium feeling knife that I own, even compared to something like, this Hinder Jurassic. These are similar in price, but this feels so much more premium than this knife. Now, that's not a knock on this at all. This just feels more like a working, it's more of it's kind of a bruiser. This knife, even though it is really functional, and I have used the snot out of that knife has gone all over the country with me, literally. It just feels more elegant, more refined. This is the definition of premium, and this is exactly what I want a premium knife to feel like. And I have enjoyed every single second I spent with this knife. This is just an absolutely incredible, incredible knife, and I love it so much. I do think I prefer the Neutron as far as TRM designs go. I do think I prefer the Neutron. I think I prefer the cutting geometry just slightly on that knife. I prefer the action on that knife a little bit. The Bulldog 2 with a bigger blade hole, I would love to try sometime, but this is just a phenomenal knife, and I sometimes still just am in shock that this knife is as good as it is and that it is in my possession. Absolutely just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Freaking love that knife. Okay, next up, perhaps the most contentious award that I'm going to be giving today, but not really. Let's talk about my Fixed Blade of the Year award. Now, I reviewed a lot of fixed blades this year, courtesy of Zach, who sent a lot of fixed blades to the channel. He sent me so many different genres, so many different brands, from so many different designers. It was honestly a little bit overwhelming, and so when I'm sitting down to make this list, I'm like, okay, what are the competitors here? And I realized right away that as many fixed blades as I have handled this year, and as much as I've used them, there's really only one answer for what my Fixed Blade of the Year is. And so then I had to think, okay, well, are there any runner-ups or anything like that? And so I do want to mention the Bark River Gunny Sidekick. I love this knife. This is one of the most beautiful knives that I own. I really, really liked doing the review for this knife. But to me, this is definitely more of like a hunting knife, and I didn't do a hunt this year. So this knife, maybe I did not use this knife as much as some other knives on this list, and so it is not the one that's going to be getting the award. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, you're going to give the award to the SRK. Well, no, because remember, I did not actually get to make a review of my Cold Steel SRK and CPM3V steel. I got this knife this year back in January, and I still haven't reviewed it yet because I've just been, getting to other things, and, it just, I have been using this knife, and I love this knife, but no award, no review, so no award. My fixed blade knife of 2025 probably is not going to shock any of you. This is the fixed blade that I carried the most this year. This fixed blade went to some really crazy places with me. We had some really, really interesting moments. This knife was actually on my belt at the top of Humphreys Peak when Janelle and I dodged a lightning strike by 4 feet. Check out my Humphrey Peak video for more info on that. I built a couple shelters with this knife this year. So many around the camp tasks, so many on the trail tasks. This knife has been used and abused from West Texas to northern Wyoming and everywhere in between. And that is the Off-Grid Knives backcountry. This 100% is my fixed blade of the year. Zach, who sent this knife to the channel, said that he actually thinks this knife could be my new channel mascot. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I freaking love this knife. And again, I use this knife, this fixed blade, more than any other fixed blade this year because I like the design so much. But I will say, Zach, you're gonna roll your eyes. You're gonna hate this. But it's actually, this knife should consider itself very lucky that my full review of the SRKC doesn't come out until the first week of January. Because if the SRKC review came out in 2025, this knife would have gotten the award. This was my first year using the compact SRK, and I was super freaking impressed with this knife, but no rewards, so we're going to put it away. It's going to get like a little honorable mention. I know Zach's rolling his eyes at me right now. He's like, oh, come on, are you serious? Yeah, you guys, when the review for this knife comes out, watch it, and you'll see why the SRK is always going to be the GOAT. Always. It's undefeatable. But this knife came really close, and this is probably my favorite, my second favorite fixed blade design ever. I love this knife. I absolutely love this knife. There's so much about this knife that comes together to make one of the ultimate survival / outdoor knives. The ergos are incredible. The sheath is incredible. This blade is wonderful. This is the perfect recurve. It's not recurved so drastically that it's hard to sharpen in the field, but it's recurved enough to give you a significant boost in overall edge length and to give you a significant boost in cutting performance. If you're making long slices, if you're trying to cut rope by putting rope in there, just such an amazing knife. And this Cryo D2 that Off-Grid uses, some of the best D2 I have ever used in my life. I actually wish that this knife was in Cryo D2 instead of 14C28N because I was that impressed by the edge retention, the toughness, just the overall performance of this knife, of that steel, just blew me away. In addition, this knife packs a serious punch. You can baton, you can feather stick decently. You know, this is kind of a do-it-all knife. And yeah, it's $90, but I think it's worth every single penny. Sophisticated ergos, a well-thought-out blade, together just combined to form one of the most badass fixed blades that I have ever used. And this 100% deserves to be my fixed blade of the year, 2025. I just love this knife, guys. I just love it. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And this is a staple in my collection now. An absolute staple. An absolute gem. I freaking love this knife. Oh, I love that knife. I really, really love that knife. So, that is my fixed blade of the year. All right, we only have 2 more awards to give out. The second to last award, the penultimate award, is my new knife of the year award. So, this is an award category. This is a tier where I can only give it to a knife who was brand new this year. This has to be a design that did not exist before this year. And I didn't review very many brand new knives, so the competition was a little bit slim. But it's going to go to the CJRB Droma. And I think, if I had reviewed a lot of brand new knives, this still would have taken it because, again, guys, I just cannot stress it enough. This is an absolutely phenomenal knife. This is a great, just great knife. Check out my full review for my full thoughts. I'm not going to rehash everything right here, but if you're looking for an elegant workhorse, this is it right here. So this has got to be my new knife of the year. And now the last award that I want to give is just my overarching knife of the year award. Okay? And this one was a hard one to come up with. Actually, again, it wasn't really hard. There's really only 2 competitors in my mind. The Backcountry and the Bulldog. The Bulldog is getting the Gideon Stuff 2025 Knife of the Year award. I absolutely love this knife. This knife, again, I already gushed about it, but this was my first experience with Magna Cut. I carried this knife so much, and it was really, really awesome to have this knife because I was reviewing so many fixed blades. I wasn't switching up my folding knife as often this year. This knife is in my pocket for the vast majority of the year. Definitely my number 1 carried knife in general, and that's one of the reasons why I think it has to be my knife of the year, because this is the knife that I carried and used the most. And again, this knife, I used it just day to day for my basic EDC tasks, around the house, around my work, everywhere. But this knife also went with me on several mountain climbs. This knife went with me into the woods, into the backcountry, backpacking with me many times. I'm not someone who believes in safe queens, really, and none of my knives are safe queens. And yeah, this knife was with me through thick and thin. I think it's just excellent. This is kind of the ideal pocket knife for someone like me because it's robust and durable enough to stand up to some maybe heavier duty applications. Not hard use. I wouldn't say hard use. This is not a hard use knife, but it's, again, a term I use sometimes, EDC plus, right? It can handle heavier tasks if I need to push it into that role, but it's also just form fitted for basic EDC. Plus, it just looks sexy as hell. You can have this in your pocket whether you're, going to work or going to church or whatever you're doing. This is a knife that can fit into just any kind of circumstance. Amazing build quality. Again, I love the people over there at TRM. This has to be my knife of the year. And so this knife won 3 awards this year, and I think it deserved every single one of them. This is an absolutely incredible knife, and I am so glad I've had the opportunity to experience it and use it and get to know it, because it has brought a tremendous amount of joy and satisfaction and honestly just a lot of utility to my life. And that is, at the end of the day, the very best thing that a pocket knife can do. So, just as I guess a little bit of a recap, the TRM Bulldog Knife of the Year for the Gideon Stuff channel 2025, pretty comfortably. I think there's not a whole lot of competition there. CJRB actually won 2 awards this year. Actually, no, they won 3 awards this year, because they won Best Budget Knife of the Year, Best New Knife of the Year, and Funnest Knife of the Year. So congratulations, CJRB. Definitely, representing. Good respect there. And Off-Grid Knives won 2 awards. Fixed Blade of the Year and Budget Fixed Blade of the Year. So yeah, Off-Grid Knives really just kind of cleared house in the fixed blade category this year, which I'm not upset about. I love this brand so much. And honestly, I cannot tell you how absolutely insane it is that this brand took both of my fixed blade awards this year, because I reviewed a lot of fixed blades this year. This year was definitely the year of the fixed blade on the Gideon Stuff channel. And so to have one brand absolutely sweep, especially when they're competing against some, heavy hitters. White River, Bark River. What else did I review this year that's, really, really freaking awesome? Oh, not to mention a couple of, really crazy, T-Cal knives. There was definitely a lot of competition in the fixed blade department, but off-grid pretty easily took every category. So congratulations to Off-Grid and CGRB and TRM and all the other companies and knives that got an award this year. You guys all did great. I know I don't review as many knives as a lot of other channels do, but I feel like the knives I do review, I'm really selective about what I seek to show on the channel. And, we saw some good stuff this year. I'm definitely really, really happy. This year was kind of a different year for the channel. And I'm not going to get into that too much right now. I have a whole other video for that coming up later this week. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go and enjoy your Christmas. If you're watching this on Christmas Day, or if you're watching it later, just, let you go back to your life. But I really appreciate all you guys a lot, and I hope that you had a very, very Merry Christmas. And that's going to be it for me today. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything you do for the channel. If you want to become a channel member and support me directly, there is a link down below. I really appreciate it. And yeah. As for the rest of you hooligans, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.